Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor from IamTomTaylor.com.
I'm Pete Mummert from PeteRemembers.com.
That was really good, Pete. There wasn't nearly that long of a space that there usually is there.
We're getting tight.
It's halfway through. I'm Gerry Porter, resident a-hole.
This is Kevin Maher from Kevin Geeks Out, the video variety show in New York City, with video essays coming to an internet near you. Just go to kevingeeksout.com. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Beautiful. And we called you. That's so awkward.
Yeah.
You must have been waiting for such a long time.
Picking up the phone.
That's how
I thought it was going to be another call about saving money on my cable bill. Nope.
That's exactly like Belloc, just sitting there waiting outside the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Someday somebody's going to come out of there with an idol, and I'm just going to take it.
There you go.
All right, but that was way back in the early minutes. This is minute 51. Minute 51 begins with Belloc bossing some Nazis, and it ends with Indy beginning to climb into the map room.
Now, you know what I want to see? And they don't show it, and I'm upset. But I want to see that Belloc says, according to my calculations, and I want to see his calculations because they're probably beautifully written out with gorgeous calligraphy. It's probably on period correct papyrus. And it's like that dude's calculations are probably the neatest, most beautiful crafted, and as opposed to Indy, who's got this like crazy ass notebook, like a trapper keeper from 1936.
He's got the cocktail napkin notes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you at some point Belloc would have had to do a pitch presentation to the Nazis, right?
Well, and I bet he killed it.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure even if his calculations were not correct, that Hitler and his minions would have just responded to the presentation, the style over substance.
They showed up with a three-piece tailored suit.
Mm-hmm. Right. And only then when he's on the job, he's like, archaeology is not an exact science.
Right. Wait, it's what? Dietrich is probably like, oh, wait a minute. We're spending a lot of money on this. We got scaffolding and everything.
This is where it turns into, science? I don't know if you guys know The Money Pit. The Tom Hanks movie where the contractors are all like, how long is this going to take? 2 weeks. How long until we get the Ark of the Covenant? 2 weeks.
Belloc's a little bit like me with math in grade school or something. Like, I would do a math problem and then be like, well, I'm done with that. So I'm done. I'm good. And like, he's like, oh, my calculations were correct. It's like he's basing that on nothing. They haven't found anything. They're digging holes all over the place. He doesn't know if he's actually about to find the Well of Souls. He's saying like, oh, I figured it all out. Trust me. In a few months of digging holes, you will see I'm right.
Well, I want to know, did he have a particular spiffy map room wardrobe?
Oh, that's a good deleted scene we should find.
Yeah. You're like, because he did.
How did he get down that? Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, how did he get in there? Like, was he lowered in a little, gilded swing thing, lowered down by 2 Nazi soldiers?
What's also great about the opening, sort of the first several seconds of this scene is like, okay, everybody's going to work, and Belloc and Dietrich, and they're all like, working diligently. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, and they're going to the left. They're all walking to the left. Mm-hmm. And then they cut and they show Indy and Sala, and they're like, geez, he's like, you weren't kidding. We're going to have to, really really start digging into this stuff, and they're all walking to the right.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because we've been talking about the two of them being mirror images for several weeks now, and they're really like, even in this scene, one's wearing white clothes, one's wearing dark clothes. They're walking opposite directions. It's a perfect mirror almost.
Whoever directed this.
He had an eye for visual flair, whoever it was.
This was filmed not too far from where Star Wars was filmed. These scenes.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw something. One of the assistant producers or associate producers was thrilled because he had asked if the movie was going to show the Sphinx or the pyramids, and when Spielberg told him no, he was excited that they actually wouldn't have to film in Egypt because it was
Right.
a lot easier to film in Tunisia.
And Star Wars.
They just went right back to where they filmed before.
There's only one desert you can film in the entire face of the earth.
Well, and in this scene, like, they do such an incredible job of showing just general desert work rumpus. It's like there's all sorts of commotion going on behind Indy and Sala, and then as the camera kind of goes along with them on the walk to the map room, there's all of a sudden there's all sorts of random commotion going on in front of Indy and Sala, and so you really do feel like you're in the middle of this big morning. It's like the Monday morning. We all got to get to work. And there's that one dude who's like watering the desert.
Oh, with the hose. Yeah. That was great.
It doesn't, he's probably washing off a wheelbarrow or a rock or something, but he's just kind of sitting there watering the desert. And you're like,
I'm on water duty
I've
again.
totally had that job. I know what you mean, man.
Go water the desert, will you? You're messing everything up.
The other thing is, this is a costume change moment for Indy. I feel like it's this is sort of like the female gaze. I recently watched the movie Barbarella, where there are so many different costume changes for Jane Fonda, and that's a nice thing in Raiders. You get to see Indiana Jones in the tweed suit. You see him with the leather jacket. You'll see him later in various uniforms, and now we get the turban and the what would you call his robes? It's a good look. He pulls it off.
Yeah.
There's not a look in this movie. There's not a look in this movie that Harrison Ford doesn't nail.
Yeah, we should have been counting. I think this might be look 5 or 6 or something. Yeah, he's got his Indiana Jones costume. He's got his Professor Jones costume. He's got his hanging out at home robe. He's got his
he's got his traveling his
traveling suit.
Yep.
Like his dad going to work.
He's got cobwebs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a
Head to
patina
toe
of
in
dust.
cobwebs.
He's got his sort of date eating afternoon, afternoon market date
Jacketless.
eating.
When he's got, and that's when he's got no fedora, because he's got such a. I sound like somebody's mom. He's got such a pretty face. I don't know why he has to hide it under that fedora.
Well, I've got a question about this outfit. In this, think about this for the next few minutes. But where do you think he's keeping his hat?
Oh, good question.
Wow.
Where is he keeping anything? Where is he keeping his brush and his book and his... Oh, I have an excellent question. Where is he keeping the staff of Ra? Where is he keeping the staff of Ra, you guys?
I don't know.
The staff is just
like,
a
is it
stick,
one of those
but-
batons that like you can throw down and go sing, ding, 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 ding?
It's not a telescoping rod.
It really
No,
isn't.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but he's going to break that rod in half once it does its job.
I mean, maybe he's breaking the telescoping mechanism.
So it's in this minute that we see it drop down in kind of a chintzy animation, right?
Is it animation?
It doesn't look like it's actually happening. It looks like it was done in post. I'm not sure that we're watching the same version, but this was never re-released, right? They never did like a Star Wars re-release or like an ET walkie-talkies instead of rifles, right? There was no gussied up version.
Correct.
But he drops the staff. I guess maybe that really is it. It just maybe it's the way it moves and travels on film that it looks a little fake.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's never struck me as as fake or?
It's probably practical. If they're going to melt heads practically, then they're going to drop a stick practically. I guess
Yeah.
this is. I'm coming at it of the prejudice of somebody who's watching movies in the 21st century,
Yeah.
where I always point to in the Peter Jackson King Kong. There's a scene where the Fay Wray character played by Naomi Watts juggles, and rather than have her learn to juggle, she just
Oh my
moves her
God.
hands, and they did CGI juggling, and it just takes you out of the movie.
That is
Like
amazing.
I can forgive that
Jeez.
movie for so many things, but CGI juggling is where I draw the line.
And isn't that
Well, the
5
problem-
minutes into the movie too?
Yeah.
They were already giving up.
The problem
What?
here is that every staff that we've seen dropped in the last 20 years has been CGI. So when you see a real one drop, you don't know what it's supposed to look like.
Right. That's so
true.
fake. They couldn't have touched that up.
What I noticed about it, hey, it's at the very end of this minute, and it's just, once again, he's so consistent with his blatant disregard of archaeological sites. He just, basically throws it in the 3,000-year-old map. I was like, meh.
Yeah. Hope it doesn't break. Hope it doesn't land on something. Well, you gotta think the Nazis have already been through here, so he's like, oh, like they've probably wiped their feet on everything already anyway. It's hardly
maybe
pristine
they seem
anymore.
to do. I mean, if it's run by Belloc, it's probably done really well, and he probably got all the, he probably got all the grants and all the requisitions.
all the permits.
Yep.
Although I don't know, not to spoil anything for anyone who's watching this movie 1 minute at a time, but there's evidence later in a minute or something where like maybe they didn't leave everything totally pristine and didn't totally have respect for these 1,000-year-old relics.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. Egyptian graffiti.
Yep.
That's the sequel to this movie.
It's a sequel to American Graffiti.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Starring Bob Falfa as a grave robber.
In a movie with amazing music, this might have my favorite music in the entire movie.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, this whole... does the music actually start in this minute? I think
it does.
It just barely does.
Depends
Yeah.
which one you're talking about. There's so many great songs in the next 5
Well,
minutes.
it's the way, I mean, we'll talk about it more next minute, I guess. But yeah, this whole week of minutes is the music is incredible, and yeah, it might be John Williams. We've said all along, like this might be the best Spielberg movie, the best Ford movie, the best This might be the best piece of John Williams music. This scene.
I was actually talking about. I love the Williams music coming up, but I also really like this Tunisian work song.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm sorry, you're totally right.
The desert work rumpus.
Didn't you say you looked that up, Jer? Like what they're actually saying?
Oleande. It's great. I'm in a Holiday Inn right now. And everybody can hear this. Oleande.
There you go. Sing it.
Pete, you do the response. I'll do the call. You do the response. Oleande. Oleande.
I'm just gonna back out of this episode while this goes on.
Somebody's knocking on the door.
Yeah. Do you need help? You having a stroke?
You're on a government watch list now.
Right.
Totally.
Oh my God. Oh, one thing's interesting I noticed is that the map room seems to be at the very, very edge of this entire dig. It sort of seems like everything to the right of the screen as they're standing up there by the hole is just desert. And like the whole dig is behind them to the left. I don't know what significance that is.
You know what I wondered is if you look at the hole and you see these beautiful cracks emanating from the hole,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, did it just naturally go that way? Or,
Well, it looks like...
how long did that happen over the course? Didn't they just find it?
I feel like
So
those
did it
cracks are
crack
actually...
after like...
I think those are spaces between like sort of trapezoidal blocks or something.
I thought it was supposed to have a design to it, like a sunburst sort of a...
Oh, sure. That makes sense. But there is that like one little notch, like where the rope is going. as Indy's going down, and I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be there, or is that going to mess up any calculations people are trying to make? Like, the sun's going to come in like a second too early, isn't it, and mess everything up? I don't know.
Well, I love is that like on the perimeter of the entrance to the map room, those beautiful serpentine ornamental map room fence posts.
Yeah. Nothing
It's like
but the-
whatever you do, this is off limits, but it's
Right.
beautiful. It's like
Yeah.
both, function and form.
I was trying to tell if those are actually like sculptures of snakes, if they're just some kind of totally utilitarian sort of just twisty thing that holds rope better or something.
Well, is there actually a chain fence there, like a chain thing? Because you see Sala climb over it.
In the background of one of the shots, you see it does kind of look almost like a barbed wire fence.
Yeah, it's
But
very,
it's
very
unclear. It's unclear that goes all around the perimeter.
Yeah, they do have to step over something. But yeah, I see that fence. You're right. I never noticed that before on the far side of it.
But then is that fence, does it go all the way around the dig? Because there's that giant tower in the background. It looks almost like a guard tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want people stealing rocks. I'm excited to see what's in this map room. Probably some kind of map.
They do a good job building of ratcheting up the suspense. I'm interested. I'm gonna tune into the next minute and find out what happens next.
You don't even have to just tune in. You could come back if you want to. You could
Okay,
talk
I'll
about
come
it
back.
with us. All right, fine.
It's a date.
You accepted my challenge. Well, Pete, why don't you let everybody know where they can write to us with their callbacks to the Egyptian chanting dig song?
Yeah, the best place to find us is at our Facebook page, Indiana Jones Minute. Look us up and leave us a comment.
And
Not to be confused with Black Belt Jones Minute. That's a different podcast altogether.
I cannot tell you how many letters we've gotten from confused listeners. We're
Fans
deeply
of Jim
upset.
Kelly.
That's next on the list. But come back tomorrow for minute 52 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Ole ande. Let's hear the response.
Not from me.